Welcome to The Explainer. We live in a world where seeing, well, it's not always believing anymore. But what if there was a way to add a layer of truth back into our digital lives? That's the idea behind a new technology called C2PA. And you can think of it like a nutrition label for the content you see every single day.
I mean, this is a question, right? We ask ourselves this constantly. And honestly, with today's technology, being able to answer that with any real confidence, it's gotten incredibly difficult.
The explosion of AI and super sophisticated editing tools has just completely blurred the line between what's real and what's not, and it's seriously eroding public trust. But a group of major tech companies are now fighting back. They've developed a new standard, a way to actually embed verifiable truth directly into the content we all consume.
Okay, so first things first. Let's really dig into the problem C2PA was built to solve, which is this massive erosion of digital trust.
So the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, yeah, it's a mouthful, so we'll just call it C2PA, brings together the real heavyweights from tech and media. We're talking about companies like Adobe, Microsoft, Intel, even the BBC. They all realized that to even begin to solve this problem, they needed one single, global, open standard for content authenticity.
So what's their big idea? What's the solution? Well, it all comes back to that secure digital nutrition label for basically every piece of content out there. Now, what's absolutely crucial to understand is that C2PA doesn't tell you if a photo is good or bad. It doesn't judge. It just gives you a verifiable trail, a history that shows you exactly where a file came from and how it's been changed along the way. In a single word, provenance. So the mission here is all about enabling that provenance and providing transparency. And this gives everyone, from creators who want to protect their work, to journalists trying to verify sources, and yeah, to you and me just scrolling through our feeds, it gives us all the tools to make much more informed decisions.
So how does this digital nutrition label actually work under the hood? Well, it's really built on two core components. First up, we've got something called assertions. These are the individual verifiable facts. You really can just think of them as single lines on an ingredient list. They state the who, what, when, and how for any event in the content's life.
And then there's the manifest. Now this is cool. It takes all of those individual assertions, all those ingredients, and seals them up in a tamper-evident container. Because it's cryptographically signed, this manifest is the verifiable proof that the ingredient list is totally authentic and hasn't been messed with.
This whole four-step process is what builds that secure chain of custody. And this happens every single time a C2PA compliant tool creates or modifies a file. It generates new assertions, bundles them up, signs them, and embeds that brand new manifest right into the file, adding another secure link to the chain.
Now this shows you how C2PA stops someone from just, ripping the nutrition label off one file and slapping it onto a fake one. The main way it does this is called hard binding. It basically creates a unique digital fingerprint of the image's pixels and locks it inside the manifest. So if even a single pixel gets changed, the fingerprint won't match anymore and that link is broken. The tampering is revealed instantly.
All right, enough with the theory. Let's see how this whole thing actually works in the real world with a couple of quick examples.
So imagine a photojournalist is out on assignment. They take a picture with a new C2PA-enabled camera. The very moment they press that shutter button, the camera instantly creates and signs the very first manifest for that image.
And that first manifest is packed with verifiable info, like the action that took place, in this case, captured, the specific device that was used, a secure timestamp, and a flag that says, hey, this is the original file. And here's the key. All of this is cryptographically signed by the camera itself.
Okay, so next, our journalist opens that photo in a C2PA-compliant editor, say Adobe Photoshop, and they decide to crop it. Now, the software doesn't just overwrite the original data. No, instead, it adds a new manifest, and that new one links right back to the original one from the camera.
So this new manifest carefully documents all the edits, like cropped. And, this is the crucial part, it references that original camera manifest as an ingredient. It preserves the full, unbroken history of the file, so absolutely nothing is hidden.
And now for the big one. What about content that wasn't captured or edited, but was just created from scratch by an AI? Well, the C2PA standard has a mandatory, completely non-negotiable rule for this exact scenario.
So when an AI model like DALL-E spits out an image, it has to generate a manifest. And the key piece of information here is the digital source type. It gets flagged as trained algorithmic media, which is just a clear technical signal telling everyone, hey, this was made by an algorithm. It provides immediate and totally unambiguous transparency.
And get this, it can get even more transparent. The C2PA Manifest for AI content can actually include the exact text prompt that was used to create the image. I mean, this gives us an incredible level of insight into its origin and even its intent.
Okay, so we've seen how the tech works. But why does any of this actually matter? For creators, for journalists, and for all of us just scrolling through our feeds every day?
Well, the benefits are pretty clear. Journalists can verify their sources almost instantly. Artists can actually prove ownership of their work. And we, the consumers, can finally look under the hood of an image or a video to understand where it really came from. At the end of the day, it's about trying to create a more trustworthy digital world for every single one of us.
C2PA offers a really powerful technical foundation for truth and transparency online. Now, look, it's not a magic bullet, but it is a critical first step. The real impact, though, is going to depend on how widely it gets adopted and, maybe more importantly, how all of us choose to use this powerful new layer of information. So, will it change how we see the world? Well, that is the big question.